a fabulous week. Welcome to 80s Love. Here's another one, the Bones Brigade Series 14 Blacklight Edition, and we are looking at the Rodney Mullen Ripper on top there. We've got the 7-ply, 7P, Bones Brigade SOC 2023 copyright, and this thing is just absolutely insane. This entire series is so good. And this colorway is going to be so highly collectible. I think once we get into a few years from now, there's going to be people that are really regretting if they missed out not getting these decks, I think, just because they are such a fun colorway. They really are, and the fact that they're blacklight is really rad, and they're bringing out a lot of other blacklight decks. We've seen some cabs, we've seen the McGill, there's a Mike Vallely that's out now, so it seems kind of like the trend to do. So if you wanted to have like a complete blacklight wall room, you could, and just fill it out with all of these Powell-Peralta decks, Bones Brigade Series as well. Anyways, all right, so let's just jump into this deck. Well, let's first just talk a little bit about Rodney Mullen. You guys know who Rodney Mullen is. I'm just going to jump to a clip here from Psycho Skate because it says it perfectly. Here we go.
And then there's the curious case of Rodney Mullen, the undisputed wonder man who's to skateboard freestyle what Wayne Gretzky is to ice hockey. Rodney's lightning-fast and intricate moves are beyond most skaters' comprehension, placing him on a level beyond the competition.
All right, we're back. Wayne Gretzky, Rodney Mullen. Yeah, I think it's a good analogy. Wayne Gretzky dominated in hockey. Rodney Mullen definitely dominated when it came to freestyle skateboarding. I think the card says that he won 34 out of 35 comps that he entered back in the day, and continues to skate, continues to be, you know, just kind of one of those guys on the leading edge. He is, and, you know, he will always be that guy in our minds because he has contributed so much to skateboarding, has been accredited with the first flat ground ollie, and then from there has just developed a million different tricks. Go on Kijiji, read through the list, sorry, not Kijiji, Wikipedia, read through the list, and you'll see he's just come up with so many different tricks that we're using every single day. Yeah, the guys that are out there pounding every single day on the streets, they're still using a lot of the tricks that he developed. And again, so big thanks to Rodney Mullen for the contribution that he has given to skateboarding as a whole. And so, yeah, this graphic, Vernon Courtlandt Johnson, and it really does sum it up again. He's the king, so he's got the crown up there. And he is just, I mean, he's masterful in every single move that he did. If you watch him skating back in the day, he barely makes any mistakes, if he does at all. He would get so upset if he, you know, fell off his deck or something along those lines, but he just was a master at every single move that he did, and it was just amazing to watch. Now, in saying that, freestyle back in the day did not get the recognition that it probably deserved, especially Rodney Mullen. And I think it was just because there wasn't that excitement level. You would go to a parking lot and watch these guys do their freestyle tricks, but there was nothing like you're on the edge of your seat wondering if they're going to make the trick or not. Whereas when you are watching Vert and these guys are pulling massive airs, the McTwists and, you know, all of that good stuff, you're wondering if they're going to come down and they're going to slam hard. And so I remember it probably was around summer of '87, was down in South Carolina hanging out with my cousins. They took us to this one ramp, 13.5 feet, 2.5 feet of that was vert, and it felt like it was coming back out. And so when you look down, it felt like it just disappeared until you seen the curvature, you know, towards the bottom of the ramp. And honestly, there was a tree that was there and it had a million casts in it, not a million, quite a few casts in this tree. And that was the excitement of vert, because you never knew if you were going to go down and go down hard and break a bone. There was always just that issue. But when you're watching freestyle, there's just not that same adrenaline rush. It just didn't feel as extreme. Again, you know, that what Rodney Mullen was doing back then highly contributed to what's taking place now in its next level with the gaps and stairs and rails and everything that's happening, because there is that extreme level to it and the possibility of getting hurt. But back then, when it was just mostly flat ground stuff, there just wasn't that same extreme level, and so it just didn't seem to get that same recognition, or a lot of people just didn't dig it as much. even though, again, it was just such a massive influence to the way that we skate today. All right, let's dive into what we got with this board first. Again, we've talked about it before. Not a lot came with the Bones Brigade Series 14. In fact, it was just this thin plastic sleeve here with the deck and the rider card. And so with the plastic sleeve, we have an area for the deck and then also an area for the rider card here. One thing that I've seen, because my Steve cab, I think when they were shipping it, it folded up like this and it bent the card a bit. And so this might be better if there was a way to put it inside. They used to include the rider cards inside the sleeve, and it might be better. I do like the idea of this extra sleeve, but it might be better if there's a way that they can put it inside, so there's not that chance of it folding up and bending the rider card. Just a thought. Anyways, what do these stickers say? Top one is really just saying that it's no longer made in the US. It's made in Mexico now, or manufactured in Mexico. This one here is just saying that it's using still American hard rock 7-ply maple, which is awesome. And then this one is just the warranty card. That's the plastic sleeve. And then we do get the rider card with it. I love these rider cards. There's so much good information on this. And so I would encourage you guys to either pause, or I'll put the rider card up and just kind of scroll it slowly as we're talking about it here. But I would encourage you to, read through it, because there's a lot of good information there on the skaters. The graphics, Vernon Courtlandt Johnson, and kind of his, theory for why he came up with the graphic. Stacy Peralta has a quote in there as well. And then the other nice thing that it really does here is we know that these are limited runs. This one is 2,500 was the number as far as how many decks were out, and the deck that I got was 402 of 2,500. So in the earlier runs, they used to only do like 500 Rodney Mullens. So they were really collectible back then because the runs were so much smaller. I'm not going to say that they're not as collectible now. They still are. They're a deck that just the graphic is really rad. But back then they were that much more collectible because they had such small runs compared to all of the other decks. Now they've brought it up to the same amount as all of the other decks minus the Hawk, that they always end up putting out more for the Hawks. But there you have it. So the rider card, and that was it. Now I talked to you before about these air fresheners, and this was not something that came with it. This was just some extra stoke that the skate shop that I pre-ordered from sent me. And so shout out to Beefers in Hamilton, Ontario for sending out these air fresheners. I think they were retailing for $12 at different shops. But Beefers was kind enough to send this out to me, no extra charge. And I think they sent me some grip as well, which was really sweet. But thank you, Beefers, for sending out this air freshener here. So as far as the air fresheners, because I only ordered three decks from Beefers, I have the Hawk, the Cab, and then this Mullen, and that's all I ended up getting. But they did have one for every single deck. But shout out again to Beefers for sending that off. Truly appreciate it. All right, let's get into the specs here. I'm going to pull those up. You guys can take a look at them. The shape on this deck is the 202, the Concave, right? Yeah, the Concave. There we go. Look at that little tail. I cannot believe that Rodney Mullen was able to accomplish the things that he did essentially on this piece of plywood. Unreal. We have no excuses, people. Anyways, the Concave on this one, or they call it mold name here, which is kind of new for this series, but is the FK1, so the Foxtrot Kilo 1. The nose length, so from the top of the trucks here to the tip of the nose, is 4.625 inches. The wheelbase measuring in between the trucks is 12.625 inches. The tail length here is 5.375 inches. The total length is 27.625 inches. And the width is similar to a lot of the pops that we're seeing out there that, we're skating now, like 7.5. I honestly still, like, my pop is 8.5. I think I do have an Anderson as well. That's the 8.13 or 3, whatever. I forget what it is exactly, but I do have the smaller version of the Anderson. But this deck, yeah, was kind of the beginning of that, right? But yeah, so 7.4 inches. As far as the truck holes here, old school, new school, well, let me pull out my trusty Psycho Riser again, and we can see that it is the old school truck hole pattern. And so I know Indy definitely has some trucks that will fit on this. I forget what they are exactly, 101s maybe. But freestyle is becoming really big again in certain cultures, and so I think there's a lot of truck options out there now for freestyle decks. So if you wanted to fit one up, if you wanted to get out there and give it a try, then I think there's a lot of truck options for people that are into freestyle skating. Outside of that, the graphics themselves, again, is that heat transfer system. So it's kind of like putting a big sticker on the top and bottom. Sometimes you'll see these holes actually covered over because the heat transfer covers them, and then you can just blow it out like confetti. But yeah, so that's just, that's the process now, the modern process for it. I don't know, guys, that pretty much sums it up. And my throat is starting to get tight, so I'm gonna say goodbye. But thanks so much for checking in. We have one left, and that's the Lance Mountain, so come back and check that one out. And then we'll be wrapped up as far as the Bones Brigade Series 14 Blacklight editions go. All right, thanks again, guys. Peace out. 80s love. Cheers.